What's that face for? I thought that there would be an outline. An outline? Around where they found Father. Like in the movies? Like in film. There's further reinforcement that she enjoys watching films. You know, the 180 line thing. Connect to the police's network and bring up their ARCS file. Augmented reality crime scene. I see. I like that they keep using this as a really cool feature. Also interesting that they still show up. There is an outline. And so this is where he died at the hospital. This is just where the medics found him. And it's the sensors and cameras they were wearing that create the basis for this ARCS? They didn't realise they were walking into a crime scene, but their body cams gather data all the same. Where do we start? You can start by following behind me and trying to be as quiet as possible. Starting to get a feel for when she's pouting without even looking. That is adorable. I love her pouting. Okay. First thing, a big mirror, body. Start with the mirror. I always admired this view. The buildings gleam with reflections of holograms and sunlight, and their shadows obscure all the run-down, rotting parts of town. Maybe the view's secondary. Maybe all anyone really wants is to put as much distance between them and street level as possible. Is it possible a witness could have seen something through these windows? Not through these windows, no. David installed wide-spectrum auto tint in all his homes, all his cars. I didn't know that. Well, you wouldn't unless you were viewing the penthouse from more than... Hang on, pause. Sorry, I paused. An advantage of this is I can analyse lines in a bit more detail. You wouldn't notice unless you were viewing the penthouse from more than, presumably more than one angle. So either she's being interrupted or she's implying that she has viewed it from more than one angle. Why did he care so much about his windows? Yeah, I think she was interrupted. Thing on the counter, the table, a chessboard, and a datapad with a series of characters on it. E4, C5, NF3, E6, D4, CX, D4, NX, D4. This is a game, a message, or a cipher. I don't remember what I selected. It's not a game because some of those aren't legal chess moves. Chess moves are all like D1, you know, because it's corresponding to letters on the vertical, numbers on the horizontal, or whichever way around it is. It's either a message or a cipher. And I'm inclined to say cipher. I mean, frankly, if it's a message, it's a coded message, so either way it's a cipher. I hope I clicked cipher. I don't remember what I clicked. But, like, seeing it the second time makes me think it might be like, I don't know, chemicals? I don't know, NF I think I saw, which... No, NA is salt. Anyway. I went for cipher. Some kind of secret message, perhaps, or... Black has checkmate in 40 moves. Wow, a robot that's good at chess. We ought to put you in a museum. Pouty pouty. But I'll take your word for it. What do you mean? Do you not play, Adone? No, especially not against David. Well, that is to be expected. Anyone who challenged Father to a battle of wits would naturally grow tired of losing. Every game starts the same, each player has the same pieces, the same moves, the same options. It's a true test of wit, strategy, and forethought. To me, it always seemed too... boring? Too fair. The smartest player always wins. And that is something you take fault with. Of course, how's a gal like me supposed to win a game like that? Very telling of her personality there. Table, inspect. Or the body. Oh, and a guy. Police androids monitoring the scene. Could almost mistake them for the real thing, the way they stand there trying to look important. Like an indoor dog taking its first trip to the park. Pardon? Why are you looking at it like you've never seen an android before? Because I haven't, in person. David didn't even let you have a mirror? Brutal. Just scan its skin if you're that curious. Gin, I did look this up later. It's something identity number. Generic identity number is, yeah, Android thing. Unless that's considered too forward or whatever. I mean, the implication there that she was interested in flirting with the android, I think that was the joke she was going for. Look at the little Fran, look at her. Right, so I go looking for terms and stuff now. I think I was curious what Gin was. And I just went looking at a load of other things to make sure I'd read everything. So an interesting thing here is that you leave crumbs when you use the internet in this. And it's sort of like a digital footprint, basically, wherever you go. It's labelled as like, oh, don't you want to start doing this? But it's sort of a way you can be tracked. And here is an example of how basically all the information I have access to is written by and for the mega corporations. Like, it's referred to here, megs, as a derogatory slang term. And it's like, oh, you're tired of having to read anti-industrious sentiment? Use our censor tools. Replace harmful words like meg with family-friendly alternatives like job creator or patriot. Ouch. And this is fascinating because this is David Ash's biography and someone's already come in and changed it all to past tense. It's mentioned here that internationally illegal artificial intelligences. It's possible that Sarah is crossing that line because she does seem more intelligent and more sentient than the average android. This is talking about they tried to make copper hate speech, but hate speech can only legally be aimed at people, animals, or corporations, which is an interesting twist on it. Something I noticed when I was reading through these is this is a surprisingly non-dystopian cyberpunk world, or, you know, futuristic sci-fi world. And it seems very non-dystopian until you read the news and the internet. And then it's like, oh, well, no, so this is where they have the control. They don't control the individual lives in the way that, I don't know, cyberpunk seems very, like, every inch is covered type thing. And in this, they have that to a degree with, like, the crumbs, with guns being super tracked, and what Jess was saying about how they can control her phone and stuff when she's on company property. So the technology is where they control it, and Morgan has mostly been non-technological up to this point. And I didn't read much of the stuff in the first one, and I do intend to go back and read it again. But yeah, the fact that this super dystopian stuff is just hidden so that you don't really need to interact with it is so clever. It's so subtle. And it's like, it's not shoved in your face. Hey, this is a cyberpunk dystopia, lol. It's, you know, it's sort of, it's there, but you have to notice it. And that is how this sort of storytelling should be done. It's fantastic. Kaguya is a stage name. This is the person that Reyes likes. Basically, a public figure whose identity is completely hidden, wears a mask or face paint, something that hides her identity, and like it even says, protecting her anonymity has become a core part of her fan culture. So it's interesting that this sort of makeup exists and is like allowed to exist, if that makes sense. The CDCA decriminalized all narcotics and established the Bureau of Narcotics Oversight. Basically, every kind of drug was made legal so that, A, the government could tax it. The main thing is so that they could tax it, but also theoretically make it safer. Because, you know, that's an argument. We are not getting into this, like the real world comparisons, but that is an argument people use for stuff like the legalization of marijuana. So it's interesting that there is also immediately presented this other side from Reyes, who's like, yeah, I mean, it did technically help, but at the same time, it just sort of shifted the problem. And that's a fascinating way. I don't want to gush too much, but at the same time, I really do. I love this game, and the writing and the world building is so good. And just like the depth that Reyes has, just from that little conversation, fantastic. And the important thing here is the custom-made drugs, the designer drugs, deeds, or deads. And then I go and have a look at the profiles, because someone mentioned I missed something. And, like, David's appearance caught me off guard when I first saw it. But, like, a couple of other things I've noticed make me think that this is a very, like, open world in that way. Like, David has a rather feminine appearance, but is unequivocally referred to as male. And sort of that's just the way this world is. And something I noticed in the editing of the previous section was that Jess's strange reactions to London. And at the time I thought, is she offended by him like calling her sweetheart and stuff? But I think she was into it. Right, where was I? That was a bit of a detour. Inspect the chair. One chair knocked over, probably where David was sitting. And one chair pulled out. Party of 2. He never cared much for socialising, but he enjoyed hosting. Contradictory guy. I think that was the first hint that there was someone else here. I don't think that was actually stated anywhere before this. So it really sort of came as a surprise to me. Better take a closer look at the table. 2 cups, 1 empty, knocked over, and 1 mostly empty. These look cheap. Did his guest bring them? I've seen them before, in the basement liquor cabinet. He kept these lying around? I knew he regifted those crystal glasses I got him. Ark says there's nothing foreign in the upright one, so it can't have been poisoned. Results are inconclusive on the other cup, however. Looks bone dry, must have been nothing but fumes left by the time this was considered a crime scene. Just not enough there for them to test. Inconclusive could mean... Inconclusive means inconclusive, that's all. Cheer up and read me the results of the fingerprinting. Father's prints are on both cups as expected. But there is someone else's on the upright cup, so someone else must have been with him last night. Slow down. All that proves is that someone else touched the cup. Doesn't tell us when they did it. And since we don't know who the prints belong to... Adone, why don't we know who the prints belong to? Are the prints flagged as unidentified, or... No, there's space for a name, but the field is black. Shit, am I already that late to the action? Detective Reyes. Yeah? There's a second set of prints on the cups. Is there a form you'd like me to sign? Doesn't matter how nicely you ask, sometimes people just can't answer. You should know that damn well, Madam Counsellor. I was afraid you'd say that. I don't understand, Adone. What does this mean? It means that whomever these prints belong to has been very proactive with their representation. Those prints belong to a witness, as you've guessed. You're more than welcome to their testimony. But their identity is... The department is being very considerate of the witness's privacy out of respect for their time and appreciation for their cooperation. Fine, forget the name. That easily? Subpoenas are always an option, but I'm short on time. What did the witness have to say for themselves, Detective? To paraphrase, they came to see Dr. Asher last night, the two of them talked, and then they had a drink together. Then the doctor got sick, so they activated the emergency system from the panel in the kitchen. The EMTs came and took them both to the hospital. Asher's condition got worse, all of the witness's vitals were normal. The witness had their vitals taken? Then there should be a record of their admission at Gatesfield. And that's it. I'm guessing you didn't just take all that on faith? Penumbra is set up in most of the rooms on this floor. Everything the witness told us was corroborated by the building's own surveillance system. So yes, we can guarantee that the witness never put anything into Ash's drink. I'm guessing that I can't have the keys to the penumbra, can I? Not until the witness's lawyers are done reviewing it. Lawyers? Plural? I don't have time to trade jabs with the law offices of Johnson & Johnson. Say, how about I give you their business card? The law offices of Koshula, Gustav, Prince and Prince. I was close. No way I'll be getting any client information out of them directly. If all you bloodsuckers want to get together and tear each other apart, text me before you start. I'd like to watch. Yeah, I bet you like to watch. What does that even mean? I don't know, just needed a moment to think. I love that, that's so good. So that was it? One chat, one peek at the cams, and you've already eliminated them as a suspect? Look, they were searched, they didn't have any poison, no drugs, not even a stick of gum. Even though they did somehow have poison on them, the camera footage confirms they had no opportunity to use it. They drank from the same bottle as a dead man. As far as the department's concerned, they were nearly the second victim. But they aren't dead, or even ill from the sound of things. So you think he poisoned his own cup beforehand, then poured for the both of them from a safe bottle? That's what the evidence is telling us. There's nothing in the bottle or the witness's cup. But after drinking from his cup, a cup he prepared himself, he fell ill and the witness didn't. And Asher died with a foreign substance in his body. An unidentified foreign substance. Suicide by poison. I get that you were close and simple explanations aren't all that satisfying, but that's life. One last thing, you said he prepared his cup himself. Did you see that on camera? He left the parlour to get the drinks and came back with his already poured. The witness says he got them from the basement. The witness says that, not the cameras? There's no cams in the lab or the basement. That seems like a security hazard. Why would Noble not set things up more carefully? It's intentional. If cams of his lab ever got hacked, outsiders could steal his IP and kick Noble's monopoly to the curb. Right, David did complain about Noble's weird protocols for combating corporate espionage. At least we can take comfort in knowing that Father wasn't alone when he died. Yeah, that's worth investigating. Something else I've just realised is no cameras in the lab or the basement means he could safely keep Sarah there without anybody knowing. Bottle. Rose River Whiskey, 12 years old. You recognise it? Sure, he was more than partial to the brand. It's a good brand, only a bit overpriced, which is the bargain of a lifetime in David's world. It appears the police have already tested its contents. No foreign matter present was their conclusion. Is it possible the police missed the poison? No, even if they can't identify the poison, they can detect its presence by comparing samples of the whiskey to a bottle off the store shelf. So we can eliminate the possibility that the bottle of whiskey was poisoned. We'll have to find our smoking gun elsewhere. Tablet. Password locked but already cracked by the police, it seems. All the docs were take home safe, nothing spicy. When was it last used? 7:48 PM. Still reading work emails only a few minutes before he committed suicide? Morbid. And unlikely. There's a lot of messages marked priority that breadcrumb their way back to an article. Warm Android saves life. Why was this relevant? This is the one from back in the gun shop. It said that a load of emails were marked priority, all leading to this article implying that the emails... Like, it's a bit of a weird way to phrase it, but I think the way to take that is the emails were about this article or about the contents of this article or the things it's talking about. And with it being about how a warm android gave some of its universal donor synthetic plasma to a person... Oh, I can't remember if this pops up later in the chapter... I don't think it does. I think I can talk about it from what we've heard about here. The implication that we've already had is that the higher-ups were weirdly not happy about this article. Like, Jess said that they hadn't done any big shifts to prepare for, like, an uptick in sales or anything like that, or a big push around these androids after this article gave them a massive boost in public perception. The initial thought there is, they just can't accept a win. But the more likely thing is they can accept a media win because that is good for their bottom line, and that's the important thing. So there must be some other reason they aren't happy about this situation. And with a load of them sending priority emails about it, the implication to me is that there is some problem with the android doing this. That it did what it was supposed to, but there is some problem. Maybe the young man whose name is withheld in the article, maybe there is some issue with him now, and that he is not recovered well. So, I've no doubt he'd be dead, said one commanding officer who was asked not to be named. So there is no way to tie back and find this man who has been saved. What if he's not okay? What if he's having negative side effects? Because the thing about like the article is it says, everyone's going to want one of these if they can save somebody's life. I mean, technically it was just the life-saving universal donor synthetic plasma that saved his life. Surely you could carry an injector of that, which is a lot cheaper, lighter. You can mass produce them more easily. You can give them to literally everybody, and everyone will have an instant life-saving injector. Why would you need an android who will damage itself in order to heal when you can just heal using an injector instead? And the fact that that isn't being raised, and maybe it will, it hasn't by the point I've seen. Maybe the fact that that isn't being raised is because media manipulation and all, but it could be that there is a problem with this as a thing, and that's why they can't produce these life-saving injectors. They've got something inside them that no one else can compete with. So unless they don't want to sell it separately because it's like proprietary, but surely anyone, you could just get an android and cut it open to get the same stuff. And presumably they must be able to refill it if they can drain it, if it's like their blood or whatever. And it says, like, I know he'd be dead if there was anyone but that android fighting beside him, not if they had the injector, Like the hypothetical injector. This is the article that I've seen going around. But why would Noble have it marked as priority? Starling said they weren't in any rush to pat each other on the back over it, even though they'd won themselves a real prize. Easy PR or a military contract? Well, the easy PR they did get, but it was the military contract that makes them happy. They now have the excuse they need to pressure the military into a contract for warm androids. Can't dismiss the expensive upgrade as necessary now that it saved a soldier's life. Except it didn't, it was the contents, etc, etc. This time next year, there'll be pink oxidizing fluid being spilt all over the globe. And the last cup and the spillage. Spilled alcohol. The arc shows how it looked last night before it evaporated. No foreign substances in the puddle, it's clean. So does that mean wherever the spill came from must be clean as well? And that implies that there was no poison in the alcohol at all. He didn't put anything in his own cup because the spillage was probably clean. So if he didn't poison the bottle or the cup, how did it get into his system? And I'm reminded of that old spy trick of poisoning your lipstick or whatever, and having the plastic covering on your lip or whatever to protect you from the poison, and then kissing somebody, giving them the poison and moving on like that. So it could be that whoever he met with kissed him, transferred the poison. But it says too much of the poison was whiskey or evaporated for them to know for certain if there was any poison in what he drank. This is me going to see the witness testimony. So the witness arrived at 7:30. They spoke in the parlour. He went to get some alcohol at 7:36. Came back 2 minutes later. One was already poured. They both talked and drank, but he fell lethargic and disoriented after 8. So if the guest had poisoned with a kiss or something, it wouldn't be seen as suspect on the cameras, but it might have a delayed effect of about half an hour. Enough time for him to, for Asher to go and get the poison. Sorry, not the poison, the whiskey, and be off camera long enough to create plausible deniability that maybe he did something to poison himself out of sight of the cameras. And the body. It says here that when the medics arrived, he was on the floor face up. Does that tell you something? Oh, she's copying her. It's so adorable. Hey, if you were going to drink a glass of poison, would you be sitting or standing when you did it? I find it very difficult to speculate on that hypothetical scenario. The seat by his body is pulled out. If he was seated when he lost consciousness, I would expect to find him slumped over on the table. But he wasn't found slumped over. No, he wasn't. As if he'd been standing when he lost consciousness. I would think he would have fallen forward or at least collapsed less neatly. So what can you conclude from that, Adone? Only that I'm missing something. Seems like that's everything critical. Pause. My theory here is, to me, the fact that the chair is sideways and that David sort of stood up and then like collapsed backwards implies he didn't expect the poison. Because if you're going to poison yourself, even if you don't expect it to be as bad as it is, you're still not going to be the panic that you need to knock over a chair, you know? If he'd poisoned himself deliberately, if it was indeed suicide, I think he would have, even if he got someone there as like a witness or whatever, I think he would have, I don't know, gone out with a bit more dignity, if that makes sense. I mean, you know, they say that, oh, when you die, dignity doesn't matter, but I don't know. Which leaves the kitchen. You said there's camera footage of the dining room showing David and his guest. What about in here? Only camera in the kitchen's the one mounted on the call terminal. The console took a snap image when the witness ran in to contact emergency services. May I see it? Not unless you can scrape the witness's face off the pic first. Don't tempt me.